Welcome back to Harbour Unboxed. You catch me in my newly refurbished office. Do you like it? I like the mostly white aesthetic. I have a heap of Lucky the Dragons over here. I've become somewhat of a collector. Pan over there, Bale, and show the people the Lucky the Dragons. There you go. No, actually, I am lying to you. This is all an illusion. I'm at the MSI booth at Computex. You would have never guessed it. So we're going to go look at some new products. And this is just a setup they have here. I thought we'd film the intro in there. So got you guys, got you good. So we're going to go walk around and check out the new products at the MSI booth. So let's go do it. Our 2026 Computex coverage is brought to you by MSI and their GeForce RTX 50 series graphics cards, including flagship models like the Supreme Liquid and Vanguard, both of which delivered class-leading results in our testing. Powered by NVIDIA's Blackwell architecture, RTX 50 series GPUs are the ultimate way to experience ray tracing, delivering more realistic lighting and visual fidelity than ever before. You'll also benefit from AI-powered DLSS 4.5 frame generation and NVIDIA Reflex for smoother, more responsive gameplay. So for more information on MSI's GeForce RTX 50 series of graphics cards, please check the links in the video description. Finally, a big thank you to G.Skill for helping to make our Computex trip possible this year. G.Skill offers an outstanding range of DDR5 memory with AMD Expo and AMD Expo featuring ultra-low latency support specifically designed to maximize AMD Ryzen performance. So for more information, please check the links in the video description. Okay, so we're at the MSI booth and hear me out. We have found a 5090, but that's not what's necessarily important here. Now it's the Gaming Trio Next Gen. Bit of an interesting name there. And I've been told it's not actually coming to market, but they're making a big deal about this product. So why is that? Well, I think it's in the name, the next gen part. I asked them if this is their next generation cooler for maybe a 6090. They obviously weren't telling me whether or not that was the case. And when I quizzed them about that, they were a bit quiet. They didn't really know what to say. So I think it's safe to assume this is MSI showing off their next generation cooler and some of the next generation features. So we'll go over those. So this is, I think, the cooler you can expect to see on like a gaming X Trio or a gaming Trio graphics card, whether it's a sort of 6080 or a 6090. And there are some cool features about this. So if we move down the end here, you might have noticed on the graphics card, the fans were a bit unusual. They're like a grayish kind of color, which I think MSI are going with for now, as that signifies they're using these new ultra thin metal fan blades, which I think it's the first time I've ever seen metal fan blades used in a computer, whether it be a CPU cooler, case fans, or a graphics card. So we have the conventional sort of plastic blades, and these are metal. They are actually metal. It's a very thin metal, and that's pretty much the advantage of this design, apart from the fact that it's more rigid, which I'll circle back to in a moment. So compared to the typical, I think these are about 1.2 millimeters in diameter, like the fan blades, whereas these ones are 0.8 millimeters. So they're calling them ultra thin fan blades. There's plenty of benefits there for moving air, expansion, all that kind of stuff, the gaps they can fit them in. Probably some, they're claiming stronger airflow, higher efficiency, possibly some operating volume advantages there as well. Metal is an interesting choice. I asked them, what happens if you happen to accidentally stick your finger in it? Because the plastic fans hurt as it is, but they're plastic, so they're not going to cut your finger off for one. But generally, if there is enough resistance, the fan blades will snap, which isn't ideal, but that's better than cutting your finger off. These ones, the fan blades will not snap. And I said to them, what will it do to your finger? And their advice was pretty much don't stick your finger in it. They said the edge of the fan blades are curved to make them, less sharp and less dangerous, less lethal, let's say. But they will not break if you stick your finger in it. So there's probably going to be an RPM limit on these. So if you do stick your finger in there, it'll just jam the fan and it won't do any damage to your finger. Not sure on that. It's certainly a concern of mine. We'll have to wait and get more details about that. But that's obviously one of the reasons why we haven't had metal fans in computers before, because they won't snap when you stick your finger in it. The weakest link will actually be your finger, and it may not be a link after you stick it in there. It may be detached. Some of the other upgrades they're bringing to their next-gen cooler for this unnamed next generation of graphics cards are their advanced spiral groove heat pipes. So conventional heat pipes, the ribbing within the pipe is straight. It's straight down the pipe, whereas they're now spiraling them through the pipe, which they say will improve overall cooling performance by about 5%. So we'll have to see how that all pans out, but that's an interesting change that they've made to the actual heat pipes. And then something that may sound gimmicky initially, though we know diamonds are very conductive. So the thermal pads are diamond composite thermal pads. So they're like your traditional white thermal pad here, but it has this diamond dust in it, which apparently, again, improves the thermal conductivity of the pads, makes them work much better for cooling stuff like the memory on the graphics card. I haven't been able to test this obviously, but that's the claim. And they're also using, well, they've got the powder for the pads and they've got the particles for the copper base plate. So the new cooler does have a direct touch copper base plate. It's not nickel plated, at least in this example. And we have the traditional, this is copper, that's it. But this new one here, this has the diamonds embedded in layers. So there looks to be 3 layers of diamonds wedged in here. And apparently this improves the performance a lot. Makes it much more thermally conductive. So again, interesting stuff. That's expected to be on their high-end next-gen cards. Keen to test that out. And if we have a look at these thermal pads here, they kind of look like they're dirty, like there's dust on them, but that is the diamond powder on the thermal pads that's meant to improve thermal conductivity. So pretty interesting stuff. And something else I should mention about these metal fan blades, apart from the fact that don't stick your finger in them would be my first bit of advice, is that I asked them, are they going to eventually paint these and maybe make them black or whatever? They didn't really have a clear answer for me on that, but what they did confirm was that this doesn't have some sort of anti-corrosive coating on it. Apparently, this is the raw metal. So this is untreated with anything additional to whatever composite of metals they're using. And I don't know the exact ingredients, but that is the raw form of the fan. Whether or not they'll ship like that, I don't know. I think maybe they were saying for the show, they've left them raw so that it's clear that these are the metal fans and not to be confused with the existing plastic fans. So perhaps the production versions will have like, you know, a black coating on it. Couldn't find out exactly what's going to happen there. But anyway, metal fans, I think, is the main takeaway here. And yeah, don't stick your finger in there because that's going to hurt, I'd say. We've got a job to do here. This motherboard, I've been told, isn't necessarily coming to market. This is their 40th anniversary edition Draco. So this is the Z890 version of the Ace. There'll also be an X870 version. There's a power supply, the Maestro 900 case that's coming out. There'll also be a Draco version of that. So there'll be a series of things you can purchase, well, hopefully purchase, we're pushing for this, that have this Dragon Draco theme. We'll get a lot of B-roll of it so you can check it out. I think it looks absolutely amazing. We might have to try and plug this in and get it lit up because I haven't actually seen that yet, but even around on the back. And I should note these are the same as the original versions of these boards. It's just they've got the updated heat sinks and stuff. So the back plate, it's a lot of like textured work on it. It looks really good. Feels pretty cool. I don't think you'd be feeling your back plate too often, but if that's something you do, you'll enjoy it. And yeah, this is, I don't know, it looks really premium painted heat sinks. I don't think I've seen that on a motherboard before. At least it's not something you come across often. So again, there's no price for this. There's no announcement date. It's just they've made these awesome, epic looking motherboards and they haven't decided whether they're going to release them. So I guess tell MSI down in the comments that you want to see this board because you want to buy it, and maybe that'll convince them to launch it. We can only hope. Now this is an awesome motherboard, though I do have mixed feelings about it because if MSI do release this, I'll have more work to do, but I kind of welcome it because this is a really cool board. So it's a B850 model, this one the Carbon Max. So the Max means that this will have a 64 megabyte BIOS. The previous, well, there wasn't a previous Carbon board in the B850 range, but most of the other B850 boards that don't have the Max name in them, they're 32 megabyte BIOS. So this is like your Zen 6, maybe Zen 7 ready, not sure on that one, but certainly Zen 6. So pretty cool board. You get Wi-Fi 7, 5 gigabit LAN, but unfortunately there are no, well, the date hasn't been announced because they're not sure if they're bringing it to market. So I guess this is another one where we have to do some work. Tell MSI if you want a Carbon Max B850 motherboard, this would be their most premium ATX B850 motherboard if they do release it. And again, you get that 64 megabyte BIOS. So obviously the price and everything would have to make sense. We'll have to work that out. And another feature I should touch on, really why they have this board to show, is the new lighting stuff. So it's like, I I asked for the technical sort of lingo behind this, and they said it's a pretty board. I guess I agree with that. It does look quite pretty, but I do like the lights. Yeah, it's a great looking board, very high end for a B850 chipset, I would say. So anyway, again, let MSI know in the comments if you want to see this board, and hopefully they do bring it to market. Okay, so I found a product that is coming to market, and this is the Coreliquid A23 360. So that's the radiator, obviously. Not sure if there'll be other size variants, but this is the one that they're showing us. Pretty interesting cooler here. It has a fabric cover on the AIO, so that's unique, I suppose. And there is a digital readout for the CPU temperature, which is giving Celsius and Fahrenheit readouts there. So that's pretty cool. You get 3 ARGB fans in this particular model. It's white, and it's going to cost $109 US. So I think that's a pretty competitive price given what you're getting. But you know, not stuff that we usually test and review, but pretty cool looking product all the same. All right, another product that's coming to market happens to be a cooler, and this is unique in the sense that it's an air cooler. Everyone does AIOs these days, but we don't get that many air coolers. So this is the AP15, or the core Frozr AP15, I should say. Expected September this year for $139 US. Now, although it is an air cooler, there is quite a lot going on here. Okay, so at the top of this CPU cooler is a screen. You get readouts, CPU temperature, fan speed, all that kind of cool stuff. And you can remove this to obviously install or remove the cooler. So it's magnetically installed, that's it. It's a toolless sort of thing. So basically if I just grab this here without knocking it off the screwdriver, it just lifts off. So it looks like there's about 8 magnets there and a connector that makes it all work. What's unique about this, I'm gonna have to lay this down flat, Balin, so bear with me. You don't have to remove the central fan. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second as to why that is. Basically, you just have to put the screwdriver down through there, which we'll get some B-roll of, undo the screw on that side or loosen it, and then perform the same thing on this side. And that will allow you to either install or remove the cooler. And once that's done, all you have to do is just pop that back on and it'll start working. So it obviously just has a bit of a reboot period, and away you go. Now, what's really interesting about this design, and I'll turn it on its side here, is that the heat pipes, there's 6 of them, I believe. They have offset the heat pipes, so you'll see the cooler isn't sitting central with, say, the screw there. I don't know how well we can zoom in on that, Balin, but the screw then, in a traditional sort of tower style cooler, that would be located more centrally to the fin stack. So it's shoved off to the left, essentially here, which gives you 2 benefits. One is you don't have to remove the center fan to get the screwdriver in to install or remove the cooler. But the primary benefit of why they've done this is compatibility with memory. The fan here isn't going to hit the memory in the motherboard because it's moved across further. Like this would sit over more towards the heat sinks, the VRM heat sinks. So it's a pretty cool design that solves 2 problems. It makes the installation really easy with having to fiddle around with removing the middle fan, and it improves motherboard compatibility, RAM compatibility. So we have a Carbon Max motherboard here, and as you can see, the memory has a few millimeters of clearance there with this large cooler installed, and that's because, as I said, it's offset across, whereas if it was more centrally located, this would intrude on the first DIMM slot, which you can see they've got a little diagram that shows what it would look like with a more traditional air cooler, and then the one they've come with, which I think it's a really good design because it means that you don't have to remove that center fan, which pretty much all dual fan tower style coolers that I've come across, you have to remove the central fan, which is a bit of a pain in the backside. You have to reattach wires and stuff. It's a bit messy. So it solves both of those problems by just offsetting the fan's location. So as I said, this product is coming to market. It'll be launching in September, and the US MSRP is expected to be $139. So pretty cool product there. All right, we found the MPG VIXTA. So I think that's a play on words with like Vista from what I was told, but VIXTA 300R. And this is available in a mesh high flow, so airflow version, and then just a pretty nice glass wraparound version. So both of these cases are coming to market, though the 2 examples here I think are like more prototype versions. I'm told they weren't the exact final product, though they're pretty representative of that. So I guess Tim was saying this one's probably best described as the version that most people would buy because it looks pretty, and that usually sucks in gamers if it's the better looking version. This is technically the more performant version, so we're going with, this is the Gamers Nexus version. So this is the version MSI will probably send to Gamers Nexus for testing, and then this is the version that everyone's going to buy. So I think we're probably right about that, and I have to admit this is the version I would get because it looks really nice. Now there's some interesting features with these cases. So both of them are PZ cases, Project Zero, which means the backwards facing motherboard connectors. So that'll work with MSIs and other brands, motherboards that have those stealth connectors. So both of them support that regardless of which version you get. The wraparound glass version is $139, $140 US, and this one's $10 cheaper. So slightly cheaper if you don't get the wraparound glass. Basically, it's meant to be largely a toolless design. So stuff like the top panels, there's a clip here I think you press, I'm not sure exactly, and you lift, yep, okay, that just comes off. They said again, this isn't the final version, so it'll probably come off a bit differently maybe, I'm not sure, or I just didn't do it quite that well. And then there'll be one screw here that secures the large glass panel, which isn't in there right now, so I can just pull this, though I don't want to break it, but apparently you just pull it a bit, and yeah, it is popping out. There you go. So I didn't break the case, that's good. Probably the only one they have for demonstration for the entire of Computex. We don't want Harbour Unboxed breaking it. Anyway, so there you go, that's the case open. Get in there, Balin, check it out. Looks pretty good. And then I think to put it back on, oh there you go. So it actually slides back on really easily. I mean it came off relatively easy, but it's got a lot of grip strength, so be prepared to fight it a bit. That just sits back on, and I think that just, yep, clips in. It all goes together very easily. And then with that one screw in there, that's all you need. So the top panel doesn't have any screws or anything, that's completely toolless. And I guess there's an optional screw though. Without it, it still grips very well. In the bottom here, this sort of basement part, the front basement, it looks sort of unique, which I guess is part of the design, but it does serve a purpose to either exhaust out air, which is how this one's configured. But I think they were saying you would probably have it as an intake. So it sucks cold air in here and blows that up into the graphics card, which it would be pretty much adjacent to the pass-through area on most graphics cards. So you get that cold air sucked in and blown through the pass-through on the graphics card, and then exit the case either through the back here or the back there. And just lastly, if you are interested in these cases, they'll be available in July, so 2 months time, which is why they're pretty well finished at this point in time, these demonstration cases. And yeah, pretty affordable prices, so stay tuned if you're interested. All right, power supply time. We have the MPG AI, count that, 1600 TS. This is a really unique power supply because it solves a problem. Daniel Owen recently ran into this problem, the 12 volt high powered connectors burning up. Now, I guess it doesn't solve that problem exactly, but it will help you avoid that problem because it has individual pin sensing for both of the connectors. So it's got a pair of the 12 volt high powered connectors, and you can individually sense the current for the pins. Now, this doesn't require an MSI motherboard to work, though there is a USB-C cable that you can then plug into the computer, but it works on any motherboard with a Type-C connector, and it interfaces with the MSI center, but you can also use it with Afterburner. So if it's basically detecting too much current going through one of the pins as a load imbalance, it will sound an alarm. I think with MSI Afterburner, they were saying you could have it, I don't know if they were meaning you could manually do this or if it does it automatically, but it would lower the power target for the GPU to avoid, you know, melting connectors and stuff, and then you can shut the computer down, check the cables, and work out why the alarm went off. So that's a really cool feature built into the power supply. So they say 24/7 real-time current monitoring for each of those high-powered 12-volt connectors, and we've got the power supply here. It's quite a big beefy unit, as you'd expect for 1600 watts, and those two connectors are there. So they've basically included a lot of sort of server grade components which should run cooler and provide better reliability. So you're about to buy this product for $500 US, and it has now launched. So at the time of watching this video, you should be able to buy this power supply, which would be something nice to pair with your 5090, I guess. And while at the booth here, we have a live demonstration of the new safeguard feature, which are in the new power supplies. So this monitoring software here, which should be through the Dragon Center, at least that's what they told us you would need to install to get the software, it's showing us the current that's currently being drawn through the GPU and the power level of the GPU. The current threshold is set at 9.1 amps per pin. So we have our 6 pins here, and the connectors pretty well balanced based on what I'm seeing here. And they've got a little demonstration. So I flick a switch here, it is going to cut a couple of the wires. So there we go. It's telling us we have a status change, and there's a few options here as to what you can do. So basically it's detected a fault, it's telling us about the fault. There's something playing in the background telling me about it, an audible warning message. And you can see pin 3 here but now there's an imbalance in the current. So you can see the current's gone up to like 0.6 for the other pins, and this one's dropped right down, giving us a warning message. And the GPU power has dropped from 100% down to 70%. So that's pretty cool. That'll, if that continued under load for an extended period of time, that's when you start seeing cables potentially, or connectors rather, melting. And so it'll allow you to shut down the computer, fix that problem, and then you can get back to gaming, find out whatever's wrong with it. So that's pretty cool. That would prevent your connector from melting for sure. Okay, for the second time running, we have found the MEG Maestro 900R, which is this colossus of a case right here. And it's coming to market finally. I've been trying to get it most of last year. I was asking MSI for samples this year, and it's coming in the third quarter of this year. And they did have a price somewhere around here, I think, $700 US. So that's a lot of money for a case, but then this is a lot of case. I think empty, it's 35 kilograms, something like that. Actually, I've got the MSI employees over here. They're not gonna mind if I try and pick up that. No, never mind. I'd asked Tim to help, but I don't think that's gonna be any help at all. So this would have to be well over 50 kilograms with what's in it. Like, it's legitimately, like, that's gotta be around 50 kilograms for sure. So if you do have $700 US to spend on a computer case and you want to put your MSI, do you still have Lightning graphics cards? That's awkward. If you want to put your graphics card that won't be the Lightning Z because they don't have those anymore. I've got one. Anyway, so one will be going in mine. Are you going to sell a similar card that will suit the case? They're not getting much out of the MSI employees, so that's a bit of a fail. Anyway, cool looking case for maybe a Supreme or something like a Supreme Liquid. Yeah. Wouldn't look as good as the Lightning, to be fair, but oh well, maybe they'll release a gold limited edition version. But anyway, huge case. It looks awesome. Couple of great features. Has like this motherboard tray. Well, it is a motherboard tray, but it's like a test bench, I guess you could say. So because it is so massive, and good luck if you don't have 6 friends available to lay this thing on its side, taking the motherboard out, the tray out, would be the way to go. And you can install the motherboard, do a bit of, I don't know, cable management, I guess. So does the power supply go on the back of this, does it? So you can install the power supply and the motherboard and do most of your cable management outside of the case. So that it would actually make the installation process very easy. Put your graphics card in, CPU, memory. Most of the build really would be done outside of the case. And then you pop it in. You've still got plenty of room to work on the system. Actually, I'll show you here how easy it would be. Is that okay there? Yep. I'd move the case, but it's too heavy. And then that just pops in there. And there are 4 screws, so if you do the 2 at the top, it'll be pretty safe. And then you can finish off your build. So that's a pretty neat feature, I like that. Let's have a look. Yep. One person can lift the case empty with the front glass panel. Tim, do you want to try it?
No.
Oh, okay. Tim's not going to get, you should have a go, Tim. It's every bit of 35 kilograms and extremely awkward. So if you are building in this case, legitimately want at least 1 large friend available, if not 2, because it's quite a task. Once this lands wherever you're going to put it, I imagine it will be collecting dust there for a long time. But anyway, it's a great showpiece, and the cool thing about this case is it does look pretty impressive from all angles. And another important detail we should probably cover on is the fan configurations for this case. Now, out of the box, you get the 3 160mm fans that we can see here. They come installed, but that's the only fans you get pre-installed or that come with the case. So you could install another 3 of them in the top of the case if you wanted to, or you could do, say, 4 120mm fans or some 140mm fans. And then down the sides here, where we have the 3 120mm fans, you get 6 in total. So technically you could put 14 120mm fans in the case, but I think you'd probably leave the pre-installed fans in the bottom and then mirror that to the top of the case. But maybe you want to put a 420mm or a 360mm radiator up there as well. You could do that and then keep sort of the ARGB fans without the radiators on the sides. The sides also can be tilted inwards, so if you wanted to angle them in a bit, that can be done as well. So that gives it a bit more of a unique look and might change the airflow a bit. So that's something else you can do. And the fans can also be tilted on an angle. So that these can either be flush, like flat, and the same applies to the top mounted fans, or they have custom brackets that can tilt them up a bit like what are in these demonstration models. So that is the Maestro 900R. I'm just gonna see one more time. No, I can't do it. So we'll move on. Okay, so I found this excessively heavy system that I couldn't pick up at the MSI HQ, and it's here on display, though there is some changes with this one. First of all, it's on a Lazy Susan, so I can spin it. We'll see how fast I can spin it in a moment, once the MSI employees walk away. What's interesting about this one, though, is it is the 40th anniversary edition, and it's silver, not gold, which we think should be the main version. Maybe the gold version should have been the anniversary edition, because I feel like most people are going to want the silver aesthetic because it goes with every color, right? You can put any hardware in there, whereas the gold one, you kind of need like the Lightning Z graphics card, whereas here we have the Supreme, and I think it looks much more at home. Of course, we do have all the 40th anniversary edition hardware in here, whereas the motherboard, the AIO, the graphics card, the whole lot, but this looks sensational. I actually think this looks even better, but it's not necessarily coming to market, and if it does, it'll be a limited sort of 40th anniversary edition. So I'm hoping with the Maestro 900R case, we have like some different colorways, not just the gold, but maybe silver, a blacked out version, possibly white. But yeah, anyway, I just think I think this is the best looking version I've seen of this case. It looks amazing. Moving down a little bit, we have the AMD Ryzen version of the 40th anniversary edition, the Ace motherboard. It's the same as the standard Ace, but this one has the 40th anniversary edition theme. So again, it's not necessarily coming to market. If you do like the look of this, then let MSI know. Again, there's the Supreme graphics card version as well, so we can pick that up. There's the backplate, looks pretty amazing. And there's some stuff on the side and the front of the card. And they've also got a 40th anniversary edition of the Strike 700 wireless keyboard, which I think looks awesome. And even the router. I mean, normally routers are just sort of tucked away and you never see, but I think if you had this version, it'd have to be on your desk surely, right? Because that looks pretty incredible. Okay, we have the MEG Coreliquid E15 360 here. This is another product that is coming to market this year. And this, as you might notice by the gold aesthetic, would match the Maestro 900 well. Shame about the Lightning Z again, but you know, at least you can buy a liquid cooler that's not a limited edition product to suit your fancy $700 US case. A couple of cool things about this. The fans are going pretty hard at the moment, so if you can hear the fan noise, apologies. If one of the fans, for example, is to fail, like somebody grabs it like that, the additional 2 fans will spin up, so they increase their speed to compensate for the reduced airflow, and the fan that has failed flashes red, and the other 2 light up red as well to signify that there is some sort of error. And I think if you stop 2 of the fans, then the 3rd one goes a bit harder again, and then these 2 will now flash. If I let go of them, the blockage has been removed. They'll spin back up, realize that they're now spinning at the targeted RPM, and go back to the ARGB lighting setting that you had set. So that's a pretty neat feature. One drawback though, is that the fans and everything, well, this isn't the drawback, but I'll get there. The fans come pre-installed, so there's no wiring issue. It's very quick and easy to set up. You basically take out of the box, screw it into your case, and you're good to go. But because it is a custom like 3-fan fan bracket, if one of the fans fails, there's no way to just replace the fan. You need to have the whole bracket replaced. I guess if that happens outside of warranty, you would just delete the bracket and install 3 fans of your choice to give you a bit more flexibility like a traditional 360mm radiator. So that is one drawback, but I mean, you know, premium products, they generally remove a bit of the flexibility to give you that unique design. And so, yeah, there's some cons and pros to that. And then with this wraparound LCD screen, that's easily removable. There's 4 large magnets that hold that in place. So if you want to rotate that like that, you can just do that and then it'll boot back up and start working again as it is now. And you'll be able to flip the screen using software. So that works well. Actually, hang on. Oh, they've put the plastic, there we go. No, it's all good. No need to panic. Look at that. So that is pretty cool. So the screen is a 6.67 inch. They made me say 6.7. That is one of the more regrettable things that's going to happen on my Computex trip. It is a 2K naked eye 3D AMOLED 110 degree screen bend, or degree bend screen. Yep. Anyway, $419 US is the MSRP, and it'll be launching in Q3 of this year. So again, if you've bought the big old Maestro 900R, this is a must-have item for that purchase, I would say. Okay, something we don't often cover a lot on the channel is peripherals, gaming peripherals or otherwise, but MSI has really upped their game when it comes to the peripherals, and I actually want to get one of these keyboards. So these are an aluminium framed keyboard. They're the Strike 700 wireless 8K HE series. And they're full CNC aluminium chassis. They've got an 8,000 hertz polling rate. They are wireless, as the name suggests, and of course they are mechanical keyboards. They have dynamic RGB lighting and a light bar, so the light bar's across the front of the keyboard. And if I touch them, say this one, Balin, it lights up. So there's the light bar, and depending on the keys you have is, you know, how easy you'll be able to see the RGB effects. Like this one obviously lights up much more. It's a bit more, the keycaps are translucent. And they've already got quite a few different interesting looking keycap versions being demonstrated here. So 65% compact layout, and yeah, really high quality looking keyboards. These, they feel great, mechanical wireless, something I definitely want to check out. Now, to go with the Strike 700 wireless keyboard, we have the new Versa Alloy wireless mouse. So as a bit of a mouse expert, I can tell you many things about this mouse. First of all, it's very light, 58 grams. I know that because it says 58 grams here. I'm not some sort of human scale. But that's very light, I would say, so your competitive type mouse. It has a magnesium alloy chassis, so it should be very durable, very rigid, despite its light weight design. It has an Apex PAW3950 optical sensor. It has an 8,000 hertz polling rate, and it has Omron optical switches. And then because it is wireless, there is a battery in here, so they call it an uninterrupted power, 400 hours of battery life. So with a 500 milliamp hour battery. So you'll be able to do plenty of gaming between charges. Just plug a Type-C in though, and you'll be charged away. And there's a little dongle here that they're using. So you could unplug that, plug the cable in and keep gaming. All right, another new keyboard here. This one is the Strike Alloy TMR, and it also comes with the Strike Nexus. I've been told these come as a combo, the same package. They're kind of two separate products, but the same product. So the keyboard itself, big, serious alloy aluminium keyboard, as the name suggests, quite heavy. I think the most unique feature about this one is that it's splash proof. Now, I don't think they're claiming it's fully waterproof, despite the fact that it is submerged here, and if you push the buttons, they showed me a demonstration where it is currently connected and working. So it is very waterproof, but I don't think they're saying you should operate it underwater. It's more that it makes cleaning your keyboard very easy. So if you spill a drink on it, or you're like Tim and you have your cheese balls and you get that all over your keyboard, you will be able to wash it very easily, which is kind of one of the more annoying things about having a premium keyboard, is they get dirty really easily and it's quite a painstaking task to clean them. So this one, is very much in water. Can I grab it? There we go. So that is fully operational, and all the components go in the water and still work due to a coating they would have on them. So that's an interesting feature. So once again, we have a magnesium alloy chassis, 8,000 Hertz polling rate, TMR switch precision, rapid trigger. Then we have the Strike Nexus. So this is like, it just sits next to it. You can tilt it up if you want to, but it's just a little add-on. Again, it comes with it. USB-C plugs into it. And you get this little screen here where you can look at your hardware readout statistics. You can go across to Mystic lighting, so you can change lighting for your system, your keyboard. There's shortcuts here, so I've just gone to red. Did you get that? It's gone red now, see? It works. We'll go blue, hardware unboxed. We have shortcuts, so you can load Steam, whatever you want to add there. We've got Discord, Teams, Paint. You want Paint there? Balin probably loves his Paint. You can do a little video, a little animation. So we've got Lucky the Dragon here, of course, because it's MSI. So pretty little neat add-on that comes with the keyboard as standard. So it's a package deal. Oh, and before I forget, it also has an M.2 drive slot here. So you can have an external USB M.2 drive there in that. So it's also external storage. So there we go. Also supporting our Computex coverage is Be Quiet and their excellent new range for 2026. Some of their latest offerings include power supplies like the Dark Power 6, AIOs such as the Pure Loop 3, additions to the light-based lineup, and a great selection of peripherals. Be Quiet's entire range is German designed, enjoying excellent build quality and silent performance. So for more information, please check the links in the video description. Okay, and this is an exciting moment in our Computex coverage because this would, I believe, mark our first ever unboxing in a Computex booth. And we have the Mandalorian and Grogu, only in cinemas, or this box. So, a little bit of quick history here. I did ask for one of these because I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan myself. And MSI said, yep, we'll look into getting one of those for you. And due to licensing agreements and whatnot, Disney is only allowing these to be sold in Europe. So if they send one to Australia, they'll be hunted down. So I can't ever have one of these. So, bit of a tease. Anyway, let's just pretend that's not a problem. And this is mine. So I'm gonna unbox it like it's mine, and then I'm gonna have to give it back straight away. So as soon as you open the box, pretty cool unboxing experience. There's what looks like fan grills here, and of course, a cute little Grogu. And I think you guys can guess what that is. GPU stand. He'll use the force to, whoops, sorry Grogu, to hold up your GPU. So these look like sort of magnetic fan shrouds. That wouldn't let too much airflow through, I don't reckon. This one's probably a bit more suitable. Whoop, I've just joined those together, probably forever now, unless Tim can get them apart. Imperial logo, I guess. Yep, Rebels. And now, the part you've all been waiting for, the graphics card. No one's ever taken this out of this bag before. I'm the first person to do it. It's just, yeah, no tape. Ta-da, a graphics card I can never own. So that's it. It looks, you got the Beskar design there, and there's the back plate. And, hang on, I need to uncouple these two. Oh, yep, that was easily done. I think we'll go with Grogu. So it would sit like that if you're going that way. Yeah, so that's the only way you'd see it in your case, right? If it's sitting like that. So that would be the right way up. I did it. So there's the back plate. Oh, and of course we do have the star of the show here, our cute little Grogu GPU mount. Now I can't, oh, okay, we twist his body and that releases this out of his head. Tim's laughing at me. And now he's using his force hat to hold up your GPU. And then I guess you twist it, you twist him back around, that locks him in place. And there's your GPU mount. All right, that is going to do it for our tour of MSI's booth here at Computex 2026. I think without a lot of, well, any incoming products really, they had some interesting stuff to show off. The new keyboards are very cool, and the next gen GPU with those metal fans, keen to test that out when we get those next gen GPUs. Yeah, really interesting stuff here at the MSI booth, so glad they had us here. And we've got plenty more coverage coming up, so make sure you are subscribed, and we'll catch you in the next video.